Hi, everyone. Welcome to Web3 Weekly Live. I'm your host, Shira Dedman. Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Celso.
Hi, Shira.
Welcome to Web3 Weekly Live. Thanks for agreeing to be interviewed. Hi,
Oh, thanks
everyone.
for having me.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. We're here with Celso Ribeiro. We talked
Nice.
about the pronunciation of it. We got to get that right. People respect. Anyway, Celso, we like to just get right into it, especially because we're
Mhm.
going live. We don't want to waste people's time. But just a quick introduction. We're here talking about Web3. Web 3.0, it's the next generation of the internet. And I always say, are you ready? So the point of these interviews that we have interviews with founders working in blockchain and cryptocurrency, Web3, NFTs, and all of those special buzzwords you've heard. And we interview them to understand their projects so that we understand how blockchain, how Web3 is being adopted and how we possibly can adopt it, begin to adopt it, because it's happening. We're going to be there. So are we going to be some of the people that are first there and having these conversations? Or are we just going to wait till it's all there and then we're like, oh, wait, oh, what's happening?
Mhm.
With that said, Celso, let's talk about you first. Because the
Mhm.
question always is, what the heck makes you come into blockchain, like this new technology? Why are you here?
Mhm. It's a very, very interesting story. So, I'm from Angola, Central Africa, and me and my family, we've always moved around and lived like in many different places. So, the experience of living, because first I started living, obviously, my home country, Angola, then Portugal, then went to school in Norway, Oslo, and then went back home and then came to the US for university. So I've always been in tech, even since I was like, I could remember like fourth grade, 9 years old. Me and my older brother, the co-founder, other co-founder and CEO, we used to sell, even though it's illegal at the time, like pirated copies of games. We would literally be selling. I would be selling in schools, near the neighborhood. So we've always had that entrepreneurial mindset in building computers, taking them apart. My father used to almost kill us because we would take apart his computer from work. It was during the times where we still had like floppy disks and everything. So it
Are you,
started
are
from
you
there.
aging yourself? Don't
Yeah,
worry. I use
I'm
floppy
an old
disks as
soul.
well. I'm not even judging.
Yeah. So it went all the way from there, and then when we came here to the US, it was literally around the time where Bitcoin, I mean, it was starting to pick up some steam here, but it wasn't mainstream yet. But at the time, we were already building rigs for mining farms and stuff. So we would sell them to businesses who wanted to get into crypto and everything and mine their own cryptos. So, and that's how it started. And that entrepreneurial mindset was already there from the beginning. And then something real stressful happened, and this was all in Houston at the time during hurricane season. We were stranded on the side of the road, and we had to wait for AAA for like 2 3 hours. And at the time, my sister-in-law was pregnant at the time, so it was a very stressful situation. Around like 7 p.m. when this happened, and then we only got back home safely at around like 10 11 p.m. So it's a very in a sketchy neighborhood in Houston. It's a dangerous neighborhood
I've
with
been to Houston. I've been to the sketchy
yeah.
neighborhoods, especially over by
So
downtown.
it was, and that experience just left like a bad taste in our mouth. And being solution oriented, we started digging a little bit. Like, how come all the other industries that are like very advanced at this point, they have so many solutions on the technology side, apps even. How come this one seems so private, secretive at the same time, but at the same time it's very antiquated? And that's when we started noticing like radio dispatch, they still use that. You still don't know, like sometimes who's coming to help you. There's still the lack of coordination between the driver and the tow truck operator, whoever is coming to help you. So and then we started asking also around, seeing like how many people, how common was this? And we noticed without fail, everywhere in the US, the experience is the same. And even outside the US, it doesn't matter. It seems like it's a plague, even worse than Corona. This has been happening for decades, centuries. It has never improved. And
I'm
then
sorry. I have to say true story, because I have my own story. So yes.
so yeah, and then it sank even more when we started asking the specialists, like the auto technicians and the tow truck operators, the people within the industry. And that's when we actually noticed it's bad. And it has a dark aspect to it too, because it's a very stressful and very dangerous job that they do. I started learning that every 6 days, one of them dies on the highway, for example, because they get struck by oncoming traffic or an
Literally
accident.
have never heard that stat. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I started once we started really talking to the professionals in the industry, then it didn't just become from the customer's perspective. It also morphed into both. The customer is always left stranded and has a very stressful situation, but the actual professionals are almost being, I dare say, exploited. It's almost like they had get paid like 12-hour shifts plus, right? And then they get paid like on average like $12.3 per hour. 2 weeks vacation max most of the time. Like leave of absences, they take out of it, even if you go for like medical checkups and stuff like that, because it's a very
Right.
serious
Which is
job.
really weird being that it's such a dangerous job. Like you would think that
Exactly.
they at least would get better pay, in a sense like hazard pay. That's
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, and that's where we say, you know what, this is not just some kind of it's not just for the convenience side of the customer, but actually this is more of about making it a better marketplace for everyone, especially the industry professionals, because at this point it's not attractive to them. Most of them I've learned that they started doing Uber now. Uber, Amazon, they do deliveries for them. They put all of their hard work and effort into getting that kind of specialized skill that takes years to master. And then they have to almost throw it all away because their current employers or the structures in the market at the moment don't give them that ability to actually monetize and get compensated well for their skill in a way that's adequate for them. It's almost like they're disrespected, even though they are like do the heavy lifting of the whole industry. So
Whoa.
became a mission. So now,
You literally have rocked my world in the sense of like,
mm,
um, I think there's so many times that we talk about blockchain solving for issues.
mhm,
And I, I thought it was sounded interesting. Roadside assistance, blockchain and roadside assistance.
mhm,
But really to hear you lay out the actual problem and how deep it runs. And I'm with you. I was
mhm,
like, my personal, I had to wait 3 hours with my kid waiting for 3 hours
mhm,
waiting for, but to hear it from the worker side, like, whoa, that's all I'm going to
mhm,
say. Like, you just realize that the totality of the problem. And I know you were talking about how
mhm,
Roadr is going to, seeks to disrupt the automotive industry in general,
mhm,
not just roadside assistance. So tell
mhm.
me a little bit more about that. Like, how do you see it disrupting the industry as a whole?
Yeah, because right now the roadside assistance, first it was just the emergency side. Usually roadside assistance is mostly focused on emergency. But we started noticing that it's very inefficient. We just spoke with one of the biggest uh, companies here, the CEO of one of the tow truck operating companies here in Los Angeles. And he explained to us, not only do we have to disperse, they have like 12 drivers, 12 tow truck operators. Not only do we have to be dispersed throughout the city, but we're always driving 24/7, at least their operation, how they are working. So they're burning a lot of fuel. First, it's not healthy for none of us in the environment. Second, because it's always on the emergency side that they're only focusing on, they have to always be on the road. So we decided we noticed like right now, this is very inefficient. It's not cost effective. And plus, it's not healthy for the environment as a whole. We started digging a little bit and we noticed how come we can add some convenience to this? Because sometimes, yes, things happen that are unexpected to your vehicle, but it seems like this industry is only focused on providing the cure. They're not looking to prevent it. So then we started thinking, okay, there is a way to prevent this. If we include other services that can be scheduled, inspections, checkups here, oil, change the oil, or even the tires before you even get on the inflate your tires before you even get on the road. You can just call, you can just go to the app and schedule a service. and then the Roadr specialist comes to you. If he accepts it, he comes to you whatever date you decide, maybe on Sunday at 10 a.m. And then he comes and he provides the service. No longer does he have to be on the road all the time. He can be on the road for the times that he wants, provide those services on demand. But then he also has the option of when he's at home, he has his own schedule. It's almost like Calendly to some degree, where he can see people can book the schedules, the services that they want from him, and at whatever times he wants to provide them. So he has the full control now of his own time. He's not just there driving from point A to point B 24/7 aimlessly, hoping that something happens and then going there to help them. Now he also has the autonomy to control all of that, and that's where it came from.
This is amazing. So I guess my brain goes to why blockchain, and before we get into that conversation, I'm just gonna we were I was going with Celso. We were discussing what to put for the definition of blockchain, because so many of these definitions, I don't know, even if they're not trying to use jargon, it's kind of like hard to wrap your head around. So we were talking about it and came up with blockchain records. Sorry. Blockchain records are records held by decentralized nodes where the documentation is recorded by consensus.
Exactly.
So since the nodes are being, let's just say, like all these different computers that are
the network.
Yeah, the network, and the computers are owned by different people. I always tell people, like I say, hey, remember back in the days of Napster when you used to go to download like a file, and really it was like looking at all these different computers to get that one file. So that's essentially the idea of how blockchain works. And so back to what we're talking about, blockchain and roadside assistance. Why blockchain?
Yeah, as I was explaining, the aspect that right now one of the pain points of the industry professionals is not only they're not being adequately compensated, but the autonomy, taking their time back in control of their financial destiny, right? Being able to actually plan things ahead and do things in a more efficient, build a real business around this. So, and that's when we started looking. The best way usually, and even now, the blockchain has a lot of utility, especially within the dApps that they have now within their ecosystems of many cryptocurrencies, their mainnets and stuff. But the problem is most of those solutions that they provide are not use cases in the real world. And then I had the idea, and this is actually, we had some people already contacting us from the crypto community. I would say one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies people. So we're working with them, trying to find. So basically, one of the solutions we came with, for example, people are usually, the example that I gave with the Roadr specialist, right? They're running from point A to point B. And there are two ways that we can apply this. Right now, we know the play to earn in terms of crypto, right? So you can do a drive to earn, meaning for all the drivers and specialists who are providing these services efficiently within the week, they can now get incentives sent to them to the Drive to Earn program in blockchain. It's a way to also give them some financial literacy and understanding, awareness, spreading awareness about the blockchain, because that will help them also process payments and stuff like that faster. Yes, we have the banks and all the payment methods there. But if you also want to get into crypto, you can now opt to use that later too. Get incentives in crypto and all of that. And also for carbon credit, meaning for the environment, it's a way for you to, we incentivize people. Let's say if you use electric cars, maybe to go do stuff like that. We give you, like, for carbon credit and all this stuff, we give you like, okay, since he's promoting and he's trying to align its vision with the company, and we're trying to reduce the emissions of CO2 and all this stuff and preserve the environment, you get an incentive, because most of the services you provided this week and the month, you haven't been contributing to a footprint in the atmosphere that is very damaging to us, because you decided to go with the electric vehicle to most of these services while other people are just burning fuel without with reckless abandon, right?
Well, so let me ask you a question too. Sorry, when we talk about fuel, what it would be interesting to me, and tell me if you think something like this would be possible, would be to create like a baseline because it would be really interesting to see. Okay, we have this industry that baseline with is running a lot of fuel, like
Hmm.
needlessly because of this whole, like you said, emergency, and they have to be out just driving around.
Hmm.
Um, and then seeing when people get to, like you said, schedule these services,
Hmm.
and maybe the um, the driver becomes incentivized to get people to um, record. How do you say this? Schedule more services versus,
Hmm.
like move toward that way.
Hmm.
And seeing if they sort of, what does that do to their driving? And
Hmm.
so seeing that difference to me would be really interesting. Not just this
Yeah.
like let's move to, you know,
Hmm.
electrical, because I guess for me too, I feel like electrical has its own issues in terms of still using fossil
Exactly.
fuel, et cetera, et
And you're
cetera. So like,
correct.
how do we use just like less energy in general? um,
Hmm.
do you think, I guess that like a I'm sorry, drive to earn would be able to just capture something like that?
Yeah. Yes, it will. And you hit the nail on the head. Exactly. The fact that we cannot schedule, they will be able to schedule those services, means that they will be spending less time on the roads on a day to day, on a daily basis. So that by itself will decrease massively the amount of fuel that's being burned yearly.
So with drivers, do you think that would incentivize drivers to sort of wear two hats, where you have one hat that's, being a driver, a service person, and then on the other hand, you're kind of becoming a salesperson because you're trying to sort of sell more, like preventative services?
Yeah, basically the app, what Roadr is trying to do, we are trying to not only make and decentralize the roadside assistance industry, but at the same time, we're trying to integrate the whole automotive industry in a more efficient way. And this is where things come into place. So even mechanics and other technicians, for example, usually you would have them, let's say you're a mother of like with kids, right? And then you need somebody to come. Maybe you would usually you would have to go to their place of work, right? The auto shop or whatever, stuff like that. But sometimes it's not practical because you're with the kids. And even in those situations, we actually had an example like this with the Uber driver, and she was explaining. She always, let's say for car washes, for example, she finds it very expensive here in LA because she can never really go because she's with the kids most of the time that she has the time to go to wash her car. But then the shifts also, the places are usually closed when she actually has the time to go. So she's like, if I need to leave early in the morning and I need my car washed, I need somebody that can come to the house to provide the service. So that's how it all starts. You have the emergency side that will always be there because it's necessary. Because in case something happens, you have people there. But this is why we're not just coming here to try to compete with everybody and destroy everything. No, we are actually complementing the market, meaning all the other players will be able to also come in and assist. It's about working together, not trying to just outcompete everybody and then make the services less efficient. So yeah, you will still have the emergency side. Then you will have the scheduling and the convenience side for the repair and the maintenance of your vehicle before it even breaks down. And this is how you integrate both. Because yes, some people would like to have more control of their destiny and maybe be at home and only leave when they have to actually go and provide the service. They will be more on the scheduling side. And then there are people that are starting their careers, they have their own tow truck companies, they're still little players and they want to make it big. They will opt for the other side because they already invested a lot of the money into building that tow truck company. And they wouldn't just want to stay there hoping that somebody calls them. So they will actually go and start performing those services. But the key is we're going to reduce the amount of people that are doing that needlessly. It will be more efficient. It will ease traffic, and then more cars will be. There will be less car breakdowns because most people will be incentivized now to prevent it too. They can just request things because usually you would have. It takes more. We're lazy people. I mean, we'll be like, should I really go get in the car, drive, go all the way there just to do a checkup here and there? I'll just postpone it for next week or 2 weeks from now. But now you'll be like, you know what? I've been hearing this noise in the engine and stuff like that. You know what? Let me just call somebody, schedule something for tomorrow to see what's going on. It just works. And it's the future. It's the way it's supposed to be.
I am totally lazy, by the way.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Well, I'm gonna get back to this idea of blockchain too, because
Mhm,
you mentioned you were like, oh, well, you kind of tap danced around this whole idea of like,
mhm,
we're dealing with this top 10 blockchain,
mhm,
blah, 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 blah.
mhm,
So we've talked about on this show, we've talked about a couple of times, alluded to the part
mhm,
or to the fact that there's right now blockchains are kind of tribal, is the best way of putting it.
mhm. Exactly.
And
This is my problem with them.
right? It's like it's funny
Mhm,
because I don't think anybody really I know some people subscribe to, like, wanting to
mhm.
be part of what I'm gonna call, like, this cultish mentality around blockchains,
Exactly.
but I think practically for people who want to adopt blockchain
Mhm.
just like as a practical matter, like, what are actual use cases? How am I actually going to use it? Like, how is it gonna make my
Exactly.
life better? You don't care about all this tribalism, it's nonsense.
Mhm. Thank
It's
you. Okay, this is exactly what I always say. I keep telling them, you hit the nail on the head. I always tell them, like, you guys forget the whole purpose behind Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, right? The whole purpose behind him creating that and creating this whole infrastructure with blockchain was to decentralize the powers, the banks that they all monopolize at this point. You guys don't realize, but you guys are creating the same problems that you guys are trying to prevent. You guys are becoming the villains if you guys don't watch yourselves. That's what I keep telling them. You guys should be cooperating together. There's no reason why you guys should be at each other's throats. Oh, it's only this one that is good. Forget this
yeah,
currency. Oh, forget that currency. I'm like,
yes.
you need each other. You guys are fighting a behemoth that you guys can't overcome by yourselves.
Exactly, exactly.
And
It's
this is
it's
where
crazy. It's crazy nonsense because I've just I think that's one of the reasons like why, especially for Web3 Weekly Live,
Mhm,
it's this is cross-chain project. This is not about focusing on one chain. This is about going into
mhm,
the different chains
exactly.
because one of the things though about this tribalism from my perspective is um, the type of projects that certain chains attract in a sense
Mhm,
um, and what's really interesting, because like, for instance, I've noticed that some of the best like NFT artwork I've seen has actually been on this chain called Tezos.
mhm,
Like, and I keep going, what's Tezos? I need to talk to somebody at Tezos because I don't know much. I just know that all the good art I'm seeing is Tezos.
mhm,
But back to that is when you're looking at blockchains because you
mhm,
are trying to build something, practical and have people actually
mhm.
using it and not just creating something that is let's just say like created for the sake of speculation but actual use
Exactly. Mhm.
um, what how is it that you determine which blockchain to work with?
Yeah, it's basically exactly like you laid out in just what I explained a minute ago. It's looking how much are they willing to actually work with other because we're not trying to be like exactly like you said tribal. Oh, I'm just sticking with this point because it's also dangerous. You have to diversify and give people the option because people have different interests. Like you said, for example, let's say some like tastes. I didn't even know about that. Let's say a lot of people love tastes and they want to invest in NFTs because they love the paintings there, they love whatever digital art they have there. It would be stupid for the other cryptocurrencies to be like, oh no, we shouldn't invest because the point is to bring all of that into the real world, making sure that if I want to be invested in that side of the community, Tesos is the one. If I want something to do more with carbon credit and stuff like that, maybe Cardano, somebody's the one. If I want something more involved with the banking and stuff like that, maybe Ripple is the one. That's what I'm saying. Like every single one of them has their strengths and weaknesses. Nobody is a monopoly. None of the cryptocurrency. They all have their downfalls. So how we're using it, we're going to bring the ones that want to align with the vision. Not just trying to dominate and oh no, you can't bring this guys. It's only us against the world. No, we're trying to help everybody and solve the problems and give people more financial freedom. Whether whichever avenue they want to choose. If it's to Ethereum, well, it's Ethereum that they want to go with the dApps and whatever, or Cardano. If it's Teso or whatever, yeah, I want to go and really, I'm an art guy. I want to collect the items and the digital art that they have. But that will make people become more invested in all this stuff. And initially, of course, you can put too many there because also a paradox of choice. But you can let people choose, and we will have like surveys and all these things. based on the demand for a currency to be there, it will be there. But the people that will be the decision makers, they will have to align with this mission. This is not monopoly or controlling the whole infrastructure. It's about actually serving the people in use cases that they want. And with this case, it's like the roadside and automotive industry, right? And
Yes.
then that would also open up doors for other businesses, startups, depending on what service they're providing, to also incorporate them because they will see that you guys are more willing to cooperate rather than just fight amongst each other. So that's where I look at it. It has to align. The values have to be the same. Otherwise, I mean,
Yes, and I think for just to kind of bring people back in case you're not used to what Web 3.0 means. Web 3 is powered by blockchain and cryptocurrency, and we talked about what blockchain means. So we're going to dip back into the idea of cryptocurrency because each blockchain has its own cryptocurrency that's related to it that powers it. And so when you were talking about different blockchains, we have to talk about different cryptocurrencies. And I think that one of the biggest things that is going to sort of make a Web3 adoption difficult is this idea of like a digital wallet and having to hold cryptocurrency. So how do has Roadr talked about how they're going to do this like driver onboarding onto cryptocurrency?
Yeah, at the moment, this is a project for our phase two rollout. So it's not something that we're going to implement right away because exactly we're in talks with these people. We're trying to make sure that everything is aligned, and also on the technical side, on the development side, how we're going to have to structure that to bring it in. Because at the moment, it will be mostly through a wallet initially. It will be a wallet where you will get compensated in terms of incentives, like I said, to the cryptocurrency. You can choose which one you want, which kind of incentives you want, and also you'll be able to learn more about the cryptocurrency of choice that you pick, right? That will be the first step because we need to get people more comfortable with the idea. Like you said, it's still very strange concept to them. We can't just go and make it like a payment method and stuff like that because nobody is going to use that as that at the moment. Now it's going to be more of an educational and almost an investment. It's like you get to start like earning a little bit based on your bonuses, some of those cryptocurrencies. And then as you're getting more of them, you're going to start wanting to learn more about it. Okay, what can I use this for? Where can I exchange? Now you learn about exchanges. Oh, what are the benefits of actually having this as opposed to other cryptocurrencies? And then you start going to dig deep and learn more. And the point is this, it's just to bring this to a more ground level where everybody can at least understand because they'll be using the app, they know what the app is for, and they will see, okay, so if I do this, that, and that, I'm performing really well, I'm being efficient. I've been killing it this last month. I'm a maybe employee of the month, you never know. And then I'm clearing these incentives. So now I'm more willing, especially even referral programs and stuff like that, to talk about this, to share with other friends, to download the app and learn more about also these cryptocurrencies and stuff. And this is how you start the process of actually bringing awareness and people starting to use more of the currency. Because right now, I don't think they have the right model in terms of to actually bringing it to the real world. Is they're not doing it correctly, in my opinion. They need to partner with real businesses that people use, like Uber, Roadr, anything else, so that people can start understanding more. Okay, this actually has practicalities because it's also the blockchain. This is the other thing. It's not just the cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency is one aspect, but we actually want to also integrate the blockchain because it's secure. It's the most secure way of protecting an asset. So because it's a permanent record and there's the consensus mechanism behind it, you can more safely actually maintain records of things. Like we were just saying, the definition of the blockchain. So it's actually a good way of storing permanent records, whether it's transactions, whether it's payments, I don't know, whatever you want to call, in whatever industry you want to apply this to, even governance. This is one of the things, for example, Cardano is very focused on that side. It's another way to actually govern and decide things as a collective, so that nobody can come and then try to change sometimes the decisions that were made or try to manipulate the outcome. So that's the other aspect. Because right now I have a pet peeve with Meta and Instagram. It's annoying because sometimes you get hacked so many times, and you're like, you guys have a lot of money, you guys have a lot of technology. How come you guys can fix these small problems? Accounts keep getting hacked. You guys can fix. That's why they're not using the most secure methods, and the blockchain is the best so far. So that will it will behoove us, and especially this is what I'm saying. This is why these cryptocurrency companies, these blockchain companies, they have to start understanding this too. Stop just focusing on the speculative aspect of it, of the cryptocurrency, but actually bring the technology itself to these other businesses. And that's how we're thinking. It's not just the currency itself, but it's actually the blockchain, the technology that will help make it safer for everybody. Your information will be safe, stored safer, your credit cards and other stuff, information. So
I'm going to put the definition back up just one more time. And just to kind of go a little bit further into this, I'm just going to say, like, there needs to be more use cases, like actual people using it. Can't just be in the realm of
exactly
buying a piece of art that unlocks something,
exactly.
And that's why, again, like, if you're tuning in, if you tuned into Web3 Weekly before, if you're tuning in now, we're trying to delve into like real projects doing things that might benefit the rest of us
Exactly.
who are just trying to
Agreed.
speculate. And I say this because it's a big problem right now. Like you said, they kind of rolled this out poorly. I mean, I guess you roll it out, speculation's good because there's money flowing, but it's not good in the sense of, I cannot tell you how many times I talk about blockchain or Web3 and people are like, yeah, I'm not into that. I'm like, not into that. Like, you're not gonna be able to avoid it. What do you mean you're not into it? Like, just because right now you relate it to
Speculation.
speculation, money that you don't understand.
Exactly.
It like, there's so much more to it, and that's why we're trying to like really plug into what that so much more is and why the internet is heading that way. Because this is, we want more security, we want decentralization, blah 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 blah. And so that's what we're like trying to do. And so back to like Roadr again. Thanks so much, Celso, for being on.
No, my pleasure.
Yeah, because it's just, I like having these real talks too about blockchain in general, not just about the projects themselves, because I think understanding the sort of the overarching industry, culture, what people are afraid of, and like addressing those fears and just saying, like, do not let that part of what is happening in this industry cloud your vision and shut down and say, well, I don't need to know any of this. This is why you need to know it. And so back to this idea of wallets and getting beyond that. I was kind of listening to you talk about this like reward system, and it makes me think about the fact that we have these things in place right now, really, right? Like, when you think about Starbucks, for instance, and you download that Starbucks app because you can now use, have your phone, you don't have to have your wallet. And then not only that, you get these, so many points, and now you get an extra drink. There's no reason for you actually to have to own the app. Of course not. I mean, but this is why you want to own the app. And I think that's the way looking at, blockchain, cryptocurrency, Web3, it's creating these situations where people, it just makes their life easier, or like you said, there are real incentives around it of why they want to adopt it. And it also doesn't have to be so in your face. It's not like people are like, oh my God, I have to like download this app. Oh my, oh my God. It's like, but right now it's like you paste the word Web3 or blockchain, and there is just like this big, like, oh, I can't do that. Why not? Like, you just downloaded
There's
that
a lot
app.
of stigma there too.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma. And I think that, again, projects like Roadr that are really trying to come up with real use cases are so important to destigmatizing blockchain, cryptocurrency, Web3. I think Web3 right now is more of a, like a little bit more of an acceptable word, right? Like
Hmm.
it's kind of like when we went from SD to HD, people still thought HD.
Exactly.
But then he's eventually like, oh, okay, right. It makes it better. And I can
Hmm.
watch a crisper picture. I like it. And I feel like that's kind of what we're going through, that little pain point. Um, so with that said, is there anything I feel like I didn't touch upon that you wanted to talk about with Roadr? Because I know I started getting way into blockchain,
Hmm.
got deep. I'm trying
No,
to
it's
bring it
okay.
back. I'm trying to bring it back.
No, so far we've addressed pretty much all of the stuff for right now for the release and everything that is coming. So basically, I'll just give a
Okay,
more
when is it going to be released? I want to know. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
What if
I'm
I'm
gonna
hip to this?
talk a little bit
I want
more.
this. Yeah, tell me about what the practical, what I as a potential user need to know.
Yeah. So basically, this week we are finalizing web publishing on the App Store, but it's mainly for onboarding the specialists and testing everything before we actually do. This will be almost like a soft launch to onboard the specialists and some like a control group of people, right? To test the app and make sure everything is working before we do the hard launch and everybody can use. So, but initially we're deploying it here in LA. So it's going to be first here in LA.
That's
And
my
then,
hometown. Just saying.
yeah. And then after we make the prove the concept here and make sure that everything we dot the T, we dot the I's and cross the T's, right? Then we will expand it to the rest of California, and then Dallas, Houston, and the cities that I most need in terms of demand for this service. So yeah, so this week we are publishing, and starting next week we start onboarding all the specialists, and then towards the second half of October, that's when we're actually gonna have the hard launch and the official release where everybody will be able to use here in LA, and then obviously within the coming months we'll be able to roll out in the other cities, replicate the model. So that's what's coming down the pipe. So you guys please stay
Is there a
tuned.
newsletter we can slide?
Yeah, you guys
Should
should
we
stay.
sign up for a newsletter? Should we
Yep,
follow you? What should we do?
exactly. Go to the website, and actually not the website. You go to the Roadr app. There's a link tree there. You can sign up to the wait list. It's filling up really quickly. The last few weeks.
You mean like
It's
if I
the
go on your
momentum.
Twitter, your Instagram? If I go on your Twitter or Instagram, there's a link tree there.
No, no, no. That one actually. Roadr underscore app. If you go to the Roadr underscore app, yeah, it's right here on the banner actually. So you go to the Instagram,
I teed
and
that
then
up for
on the
you.
bio, there's a link tree there.
Okay,
You
there
click the
you go.
link tree, and then you'll have everything related to Roadr there. All the news, everything that's coming, all the socials are there, and everything. The wait list. So you can sign up for the wait list, and then you'll be notified. And there's a newsletter too.
Good.
So you'll be able to see. We'll keep sending it to you like weekly or monthly, depending on the frequency of the updates that you guys to get you guys excited so that you can see what's actually coming down the coming weeks and days. So yeah, if you really want to stay tuned and know everything that's happening and follow all the journey, like we're saying, road to Roadr. If
Yes,
you want
I
to be
like
a
that.
part of the road to Roadr of the journey, then go to the Roadr underscore app Instagram page and yeah,
And link in bio. Perfect.
link in bio.
Cool.
And
Well, thank.
also,
Oh yeah, speak.
I'm just gonna say,
No, speak.
if
Say
you
it.
guys are so kind, please spam Instagram and tell them to get rid of the Roadr, to get that guy to release the Roadr official, the Roadr actually username, because he hasn't used it for almost a decade. Please, Instagram, come on,
Okay.
wake up.
I'm not on Instagram, but I will let my Instagram peeps know. I'll be like, hey, you're on Instagram? Can you go and spam the Roadr? Please, thanks.
Exactly. Plus, we
Okay.
have the patent. It's really good. The patent is pending and it's about to be finalized soon.
Oh, congratulations.
So yeah, he can't use the name anyway. So he's gonna infringe upon our rights. So yeah.
Okay. So thank you. You're awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Oh,
Thank you
you're awesome.
everybody
Thank
for
you.
thank you everybody who tuned in. And next time, don't be shy about questions. I was looking at my comments.
Hmm.
So next time, don't be shy. We want your questions. Okay. Anyway,